What's good? What's good? The weather is epic. It's going to be a fantastic summer here in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State. And I literally just this morning picked up my first prototype or my first copy of my PSYOP special shirt. The camera makes it backwards, but this says, "Not everything's a PSYOP." And then with the Twin Towers being exploded and a funny cartoon George Bush, but most things are. And I really wanted this to be a cartoon George Bush because I wanted the juxtaposition of serious and silly together. To me, that is a great way to break the spell, or a fun word I like to use is to stultify something. When you are able to combine like something heavy with something light and comical, you are able to sort of take the power away from it. And that's what I'm trying to do here, because this is a very powerful image, a very powerful PSYOP and narrative that a lot more people as they wake up are, becoming hip to the truth. And so the title of this video, Trump v. Musk, it's all a PSYOP. And you might be asking yourself, if you're newer to this level of questioning reality, a PSYOP is an act of terror or a fear campaign designed to destabilize the population and to divide the population. Because when we are destabilized and divided, we are a whole lot easier to control and manipulate. And if you're beginning to question reality, you're on the right track. And you're going to be hit with repeated bouts of cognitive dissonance as a result of continuing to explore and awaken, because you're going to see that many narratives are crumbling. Narratives that you have held true for your whole life because you didn't know any better, because there was such little dissent that was capable 20 years ago when you're like me, 20, 30 years ago when you were growing and the internet wasn't a thing and we weren't able to look outside of mainstream media too much. But the internet has been a fantastic thing, and they're trying to control it like they're trying to control everything, and they've done a really good job now. Good information is really hard to come by, which is why I want to introduce another word for you to reflect and ruminate on as you begin to unpack all the different PSYOPs that have been conducted against the population, not just of the United States, but of the world as a whole. The powers and elites that seek to control and consolidate resources and wealth have been doing it globally for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years. And so the word discernment, the ability to take in information presenting different pictures and to be able to decipher what the most realistic interpretation is. And it's very, very difficult because so much information is fake, is modified, like data and statistics can be totally manipulated. Our organizations have been corrupted, so you can't even trust the organizations, which is why I personally try really hard to stick to the highest level, most conceptual level of how events unfold. It is objectively true that throughout history, governments, churches, elites have sought to manipulate the masses. That is objectively true at a very high conceptual level. Where people get lost is in the weeds of how to actually implement something like elite capture. What is elite capture? Elite capture is the chain you could. Elite capture is the effort to persuade significant voices in the mainstream, in the culture, to push or avoid specific narratives. And this can be easily done by, ironically, and I say this ironically, I learned this from Tim Pool, who may have been embroiled in his own little scandal in terms of, he says, and it's so true, it's so easy, that the elites, the social engineers, look for people who are already saying close to what they want said in a manner that they want said. They then find ways to support and fund them and then ultimately provide direction. And it happens very organically, which is why it's very difficult to discern who is telling their full truth and who is controlled opposition. A good example is, I think Jordan Peterson is a great example, where before he got really famous and he was just giving badass college lectures, man, I love his old stuff. It's just like musicians. There's this expression that the old music from musicians is often better because they haven't yet found comfort in complacency and fame. So they're creating art from like a more raw, authentic place. And then once they find fame and fortune and whatnot, they get comfortable, complacent, or they decide they want to work on their like little passion projects that might not have the same mainstream appeal. Jordan Peterson, his old lectures are phenomenal, but the new direction he's taken things because of his life and his associations and whatnot, he's just the angry old man yelling at the cloud meme, and it's really unfortunate. But that's, in my opinion, an example of elite capture. People just, decided, hey, we kind of like the direction he's going with the anti-trans thing and the pro-Christianity thing. And so they were able to wrangle him in and close the scope of what he is able to talk about and what they want him to talk about. And it happens to everyone, or almost everyone, right? The matrix is very powerful. So I just want to wrap up the video saying this whole Elon Musk and Donald Trump thing, it's fake. It is absolutely fake. And if it's not fake, I'm relatively 90% confident that it is fake. But in the small chance that it's not fake, they are just oligarchs having petty arguments over how to be the best authoritarian possible. It's stupid. Like the fact that people are putting so much energy into oligarchs and not calling them out for what they are. So I think it's all fake. I think, it's just like professional wrestling, how it's all staged. They knew they needed to create distance from one another so Elon could be perceived as principled and Trump could be perceived as maybe reasonable, or, reasonable in the sense that he knows he needs to compromise for the votes. And so they were both able to save face. Trump was already in the Epstein allegations, so that's nothing new. And if you can control the narrative, so Elon made the Trump thing, whatever, that was nothing new. It was more of just reinforcing something that we all already knew. Now, when they make back up, Elon can say, I was just angry, and Trump was associated with Epstein, but, he quickly distanced himself after allegations and blah, 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 blah. So if you've fallen for the PSYOP, I would encourage you to check the link in the description below for my merch store so you can get your own. Not everything's a PSYOP, but most things are. Shirt. Literally, I picked this up today. It's a large. I'm 5'11", 220 pounds. It fits perfect on me. I do need to lose some weight. I know, I'm working on it, but I I already got one compliment on it, and I had a QR code that I was able to show him, and so I sent him to my website. It was like a retail worker, so he doesn't have a lot of discretionary income, I imagine, so he probably won't buy one, but he might. And it would be so cool to have like my first organic sale. I know, Cody, you bought a shirt. That doesn't feel organic to me because we already have a connection. But thank you for your support, Cody. Thank you for your support. If you've watched this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe. We're going to build the new Earth together, but it's going to be a group project, and I need help. And that's the easiest way you can help me. If you don't want to buy a shirt, you can donate money. You can share this video to help raise awareness to the fact that we need to not be divided, and we need to focus on the mission. Much love, y'all.